This video is sponsored by Weight Watcher Ghana.
My name is MAMLEY Adams, and I have 2 kids. For the first one, we got married in November, and for my husband, he was like, okay, anytime baby comes, he's fine. But for some reason, I was just anxious because I was thinking, hey, I've heard stories of people who say we are waiting. Then after some time, baby is not coming and they are stressed. So for me, I was eager, waiting for baby to come. So around February, I think 14th February, that was Valentine. Then the following year, he went for like a shoot somewhere. And then I was feeling sick. Then I went to a pharmacy nearby, and then I went to buy the test kit. So when I bought the kit, then I was like, should I wait for my husband to come before I test, or I should test when he comes? Then I decided to test. So when I tested, and the thing was one thick line, and then the other line was not so thick, I was like, okay, now this one is confusing, so let me wait for him to come. So I was waiting. That day too, he decided to come late for some reason. He came around like 12. When he came, I was fast asleep. So the moment I heard the door open, then I woke up and I said, oh, I have tested the thing. It is one thick line and one thin line. Then he was like, what thing? I said, oh, go and see it in the bathroom. Then he went and checked and he said, it looks like you are pregnant. So I said, yes. He was like, why are you excited like this about the pregnancy? I said, shit, I've been waiting, sir. So for the first one, that is how like it happened. And then for the second one, I was in school. And for like 2 weeks, anytime I eat after lunch, then I'll just tell my colleagues, then my madam was like, hey, Mamley, are you sure you're not pregnant again? I was like, oh no, this one dear. I'm waiting for your rat to be like 3 years before. So they kept saying it's week 1, week 2. Then the 3rd week, I was like, this thing, the way anytime I eat, then I'm feeling sleepy all of a sudden. Let me just check again and see. So I went to buy the kit. But before I could check, I think I felt sick within that week, severely sick. So we went to the clinic, and then the doctor was like, oh, let me check if you are pregnant. So we did the test. When he told me, I was sad. I said, how can I be pregnant now? Era is just 1 year and like 4 months. He said, yes, but you are pregnant. I said, oh, okay. So when I got back home, the second one, I wasn't as excited as the first one. I just told him. They said I'm pregnant. I didn't even tell him that same day. I think it took like 2 or 3 days before I told him. I was just sad. So when he came back, oh, how was clinic? What did they say? I said, oh, I'm just not feeling well. They said, I'll be fine. Then after some time, I was just moody, quiet, because I wasn't really expecting to be pregnant like that early after the first one. So yeah, that was how the second one too happened. So eventually I just had to tell him. Even when I told him, I was crying. I was like, oh, why are you crying? I said, look at Ira. Look at how small Ira is, and now I'm pregnant again. And was like, but it's not an issue. Like, it's fine. I was sad. I was like, well, it's not you. That's why you are saying that it's fine. So that was how like the second one happened. Okay, so on the day of delivery, we went to the clinic, I think a week before, and my date was passed. My due date was passed for like 3 weeks. So the 3rd week, when I went for antenatal, my midwife told me that it looks like baby is taking time to come. So they'll give me a referral to go to another hospital. That place was a small clinic, so they were like, they'll give me a referral to go to a bigger hospital. So The 4th week, it was a weekend. They asked me to keep coming every week since the date was due passed. So I was going every week. So the one weekend, it was a Saturday. Then I went and my midwife gave me the letter. So when she gave me the letter, I just told my husband to talk to one doctor in our church. I didn't want to go to where they referred me to initially. I didn't want to go there for some reason. I just didn't want to go there. Then the doctor said, oh, 3 weeks is a long time. They should have given me the referral like after a week when the date was due. Then she said, okay, I should come to Rage on the Monday. So on the Monday, my husband and I, we just prepared ourselves and then we went to Rage. When we went to Rage, the moment we got there, everybody started treating me like somebody that is sick. And like they were treating the whole thing like it's an emergency or something. And I was like, I walked to this place myself. Why are these people treating me like this? That was after we had gone to the antenatal clinic, giving them the letter. They opened the letter and all of a sudden everybody was treating me like that. So the doctor asked me, did I bring my stuff for delivery? And I said yes. Then she said, good. We are taking you straight to the labor ward. We are going to do induced labor for you. And I was like, okay. So what is that one? How my midwife had previously told me that, oh, induction is not anything serious. They'll just give you medicine and then the baby will come out. So I kept asking her, does it mean the pain that comes with labor and everything I won't feel? She said yes. I said, oh, okay. So when we went, then I asked the doctors, how is the induction going to be? But I had read that induction too is painful. My mother was like, this induction by forced labor. She calls it by forced labor. She's like, this by forced labor is painful. Oh. And I was like, oh, okay. So they started giving me the medicine. And then they were like, they will give you 4 doses of the medicine. It's like a tablet, they'll give you 4. So I was in the labor room with, I think, 6 or 7 people. So when I got there, some people were shouting, people were screaming, people were on their bed. I just looked at them and I told my husband, look at how these people are making noise here, plenty like that. Me, when I go, I won't shout, I won't talk, I won't do anything. I'll just come out with my baby. Then one of the nurses looked at me and said, okay, we will be here, we'll hear you crying very soon. And then I went inside. So they gave me the first dose. I wasn't feeling anything. Second dose, I wasn't feeling anything. Third dose, I wasn't feeling anything. Then my husband called me. That was like around 9 in the evening. They started in the morning. And when they start, they will come after every 6 hours. So it was around 9 getting to 10 in the evening. And he was like, are you still not feeling anything? And I'm like, yes. Then he was rather like agitated more than I was. So I asked him why. He said, Dr. Bridget said by now you should have given birth. And I'm like, oh, okay. They've given some people too and they've gone. But me, I still don't feel anything. So I'm still here. Then he was like, okay, then he's going to roam, hang around. If I start feeling anything, I should call him and all that. So I left my phone somewhere and right after talking to him, I started feeling the pain small. Then the doctors came and then they brought the last dose of the medicine. So when they brought the last dose, I tried sleeping, I couldn't sleep. Then I felt this sharp pain like within my spine, like around my back. Then I was like, Aji, now I'm feeling the pain. So one woman was there, she was like, aha! Uba, why you doing this? And I'm like, hey, this thing there, I can't stand. I started shouting. I started calling my husband, where are you? I started mentioning his name, where are you? Where are you? Then I started calling one of the midwives. I told him, the pain I'm feeling is too much. Then she's like, yes, if I don't feel the pain, the baby won't come. And I was like, this pain, dear. So around 11, 12, they were like, I am now, is it 3 cm or something? Yeah, they said 3 cm. So they will come back again and come and check. By after that, I slept through the pain a little bit, and then by the time I realized, the pain had come back again. So it was morning by then. Then the doctors came, they came to check us. Then the midwives came. I was still feeling the pain. I was just lying down. But because I had told myself that, oh, I won't cry, I won't shout and things, I wasn't really like all over the place like that. Then one lady, two people beside me started like shouting, and they needed someone to pack their things to the delivery room. So I was there, and then they were there. They couldn't pack the things. Then I packed one person's things, then I sent it. When I got there, then the midwives there asked me, "Hey, one one?" And I was like, "Oh, it's not me, Odimechi Oba." Then they asked another person also like was feeling the pain. Then I packed the person's thing again. Then I sent. They said, "Hey, delivery room class prefect. And I'm like, me, I'm still feeling the pain, but nothing like severe." Then they were like, "Okay, so around 11 in the morning, the pain got worse, and then the midwife came, and then she was like, "You can lie down and let me check." When she checked, she was like, "Hey, your baby is almost coming and you're walking about here like that." Then she just said, "Let's go to the labor ward." And then we went the delivery room, and then we went there, and then yeah, baby came. It was not a long process when baby came. That part was quite short for me. Like when I went there, they said, "Oh, push." I just pushed. It was painful, but the pain before that one was more. And then baby finally came. At some point, they were like, "Baby's nose is stuck, so I should push harder." So I tried pushing harder, and then baby came. Baby was not breathing initially. They patted his back, beat his bum small, and then baby started crying. And then that was it. I cried when I saw the baby. I cried. When I saw the baby, I was like, "Oh, finally you are here. We've been waiting, sir. Now you are here." Then I asked the midwife, "Is my baby fine?" Then she said, "Yes." And I said, "Okay." Then they said, "Wait, we are going to clean the baby and bring the baby to you." So when they cleaned the baby and then they brought the baby, I was like, "Oh, so me of giving birth." That was for the first time. I was so excited. I was like, "Oh, so me of giving birth." I just looked at the baby, sir. Then that was when I remembered that my husband is not even around. So Dr. Bridget came in and was like, "Oh, MAMLEY, congratulations, you've given birth." I said, "Yes." Then I asked her, "Dr. Bridget, where is my husband? Where is my husband?" She said, "Don't worry, I'll call your husband." Then they called him, and then he came. That was for the first one. The second one, the same thing. I was past, the time was past and everything. So I kind of went through the same process, induction again. But this time, the induction didn't take long. When I got to the hospital, then they did the VEs and everything. Then the midwife was like, "Am I sure I'm not feeling anything?" I said, "Yes." She's like, "You are 2 cm dilated. Why are you not feeling anything?" I said, "Oh, I'm not feeling anything." So initially, they were waiting to see that if I'm already 2 cm, like I'll progress. But they waited like till noon, and then they came back and still nothing. Then they said, "Okay, then they will start the induction anyway." Then they started the induction. I just told the doctor, "Give me 2 doses. This time I purposed in my heart, if you give me 2, the baby will come." So he gave me the first one. I was there, nothing happened. Someone came, they gave her first. She went, the same thing. I said, "Oh, this time again." Then I told him, "Dr. Boateng, give me 2. I said, if you give me 2, my baby will come." Then he said, "Okay, after 6 hours, I'll come and give you the last dose." So when he brought the last dose, he went. By the time he could come back to check, baby had already come. And I think that one was even short. The second one was even shorter than the first one, but it was more painful than the first one. Because the second one, when I went to the delivery room, the midwife was like, "Oh, Dahome, but when she came, I had already like started pushing. The baby's head was out." I was like, "Oh, Missy, trying to watch him." And I was like, "Baby, no, but me." So like that was how the second one too happened. And when I saw him too, I was like, "Oh, you people have made me suffer. You these children, why?" And I think for my second pregnancy, because I wasn't really excited initially, seeing baby was not so exciting as the first time. Life as a mother is not easy. It's not easy at all. I quite remember my mother-in-law when I was pregnant with the first one. I'll ask her, so how is it like when you go to the labor ward and things? Oh, how is it like? How is it like handling baby and things? She's like, oh, it's not easy. It's not difficult. Sorry, it's not difficult. Cry. You just it's easy. Baby is crying. You breastfeed baby. Baby is hungry. You carry the baby. It's not difficult at all. Then I was like, oh, okay. Then I'll ask my mother too. My mother too will be like, it depends. So sometimes it's a bit difficult, but other times too, it's easy. But I realized that a lot of the things nobody like can tell you, or nobody will tell you. You have to learn on your own. For instance, the first time I had to breastfeed my baby, for instance, my mother never told me that if you are going to breastfeed your baby, your nipple will pain you like hell. Like, nobody told me that part. So I was in the hospital, first day no milk, second day no milk. They said breastfeed the baby, and my nipples were sore, like it was paining me, and I didn't know how to breastfeed the baby through that pain. But after the third day, the milk started coming, so I had to. When the baby was sucking, God, I said, this thing is painful. I asked my mother, I said, sao breastfeeding it yes, na unya hushe. So akwala no na no for ne hihye na ye wo ya wakoma nyina beti. I was like, oh God, you didn't tell me this part. And then, like, handling your baby too is something nobody will tell you. Like, all the people that when you are not, you are pregnant, they will be pampering you and saying that, oh, when baby comes, we will help you. Honestly, when the baby comes, it is you, yourself, and just you. Like, even like with your parents or your in-laws, when they are helping you, you realize that it's not easy for them. My mother, when I went to stay with her after delivery, I realized that at that point, because she's like older and she was a bit like ill, she couldn't even carry the baby for long. So sometimes you want to sleep, you are assuming that, oh, mommy is there, she will carry baby for me. Then you are there and then they'll just bring the baby that, oh, Jena Kitano Anafano, something like that. And then the sleepless nights, dear, it's too much. There are times you are tired, you want to sleep, the baby is awake. And then when they tell you that, oh, when your baby sleeps, then you too, you sleep. I don't know for others, but for me, it has never worked. Because anytime the baby sleeps, that is when you have to do one or two things for yourself. And so if you are saying baby sleeps and you're also sleeping, you wake up with the baby and you can't even do anything together with the baby. You just have to sit with the baby, breastfeed, manage them. And then when they grow up a little bit, the toddler stages is the difficult part. At least for me, that is the difficult part now. Because you tell the baby, sit down. And then she comes and tells you, I'll sit down, Bia, I'm going. Whatever you tell them now, they want to explore, so they want to do things on their own. And you can't do anything that, like anything you do, you have to be careful, because the moment they see it, they are repeating what you have done. So for instance, Helsa will see you like maybe cooking. The next time you realize she has taken a chair, she has mounted like the stove. Mama, I'm cooking rice, and she is trying to do what you were doing that she saw. So it's not easy. As for handling life as a mother, there is not easy. You basically don't have a life of your own now. You can't plan your day and decide that, okay, this is what I want to do. No, the children decide what you do, especially when they are not in school. They decide what you do in the day. They decide where you go and all that. For me, what I do now is I try to plan my day anyway, but I just have in mind that when Helsa wakes up, whatever she is doing is what we have to adjust. So currently, like, I'm home and I'm trying to homeschool her. So when she wakes up, she has her own routine, what she wants to do first. Brush your teeth, bath, eat, come and let's study. Other times, she doesn't want to study at all. She's just like on her own. Leave me, I'll do this. Leave me, I'll do that. And then, like, if I want to go somewhere, I have to like schedule way ahead of time. So for instance, my friends call me initially like, oh, weekend, let's go and do this. You can go now. I'm like, if you didn't tell me like a month ago or 2 weeks ago, I can't, because I have to either look for where I'll send the children to or plan on how I'll transport them like with me if I'm coming. So that is how I've been juggling through it. And because I had issues with pregnancy with the first time, I stopped like working. So now I am home and I'm working from home. So I think one of the first things I wish I knew was that becoming a mother takes, like, how should I even say it? Like, it takes away your freedom, I should say. You just don't have any freedom, or like you don't have any, you are not on your own again. Like now, everything is dependent on someone else. And then, yeah, the fact that it's not that easy. I think people make it look like, especially when you marry like fresh, and then people will make it look like, oh, if you give birth, it's all rosy, and the pressure that they'll give you to give birth, no. I wish I knew that, oh, Chale, having the baby, for me, I thought that, oh, having the baby is the cute part. Oh, the baby is cute. And everybody sees baby and they're like, oh, I wish I knew that if you go back home with a baby, the stress involved, the work involved, it's just you alone. People will help you carry baby when you are out, say like you are in church. And that's like just 1 hour or something. You are good to auntie.
Don't you want to play? Let's go, car.
These are some of the things I wish I knew. You can't do anything on your own. You just can't do anything. You don't have freedom for anything. I look at them, I pause, and I'm like, Unimne Baba. What if it is the father's the father's childhood playing out? You just assume it is my own childhood, but yeah, those are some of the things. And the fact that pregnancy is not easy. I used to see people go through, like when I see pregnant women, I didn't think that they are really like going through a lot. So I wish I knew that pregnancy is not easy, because for me, I haven't had smooth like especially for the first 3 months. I always suffer. So that's one of the reasons why I don't even want to like continue. I'm like, pregnancy is too stressful before everything else comes in. That one too is also stressful. So yeah. One of the things that I think is very surprising is the way they grow up so fast. Like the children grow up so fast. By the time you realize, like they're already 9 months, 1 year, and they are talking. I think for Elsa, the first time I heard her speak, I was like, oh wow. I just looked at her and I was like, say it again. And she like, I was so surprised. And the level of intelligence that children have, we always estimate their level of intelligence. Like children are too smart, like too smart. So sometimes like I look at them and I'm like, wow. And the strength that you get from nowhere. Personally, like my mom used to say that, oh, you dear, when I look at you, when you become a mother, you struggle, but now I feel like I'm able to like manage myself. Because initially I was thinking that, oh, when I give birth, my mother is around, I'll give my child to my mother and then I can do whatever I want. But I realized that when my mother wasn't available, I was able to get that, like, I was able to put myself together. And sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, oh, wow. And yeah, pushing. I always thought of like, I was like, oh, so I was always thinking, hey, how will I push? But on that day when I saw that, hey, I was able to push a baby out. I've done well. Like, it surprised me. I remember one time I was asking my husband, hey, so when I go to labor ward, how will I push? Like, how will I push? I don't know how I'll push. And he's like, oh, when you get there, you get the strength. And I was like, no, the way this thing is, I don't think I'll get strength. But surprisingly, I got that strength. And I was like, oh, okay. I've heard people say that like mothers have that strength, but until I felt it, I didn't really know. And I was like, oh, it's a good thing. Like, yeah. That is a difficult one. So currently, one of the issues that I'm facing is I look at how I was brought up, and there are things that I feel were not right. I try to like change them, but then again, I see certain things in my child and I'm like, if I had done this thing my mother is saying, maybe you would have stopped what you are doing or you would change. So for instance, I'm a social worker, and I think it's like, I don't believe in beating children. Like when your child does something, you beat the person, you spank. No, I believe in sitting the child down and talking to the child. But lately I realized that Helsa, after you have sat down and you have spoken to her, she just look at you and then go back to the same thing and do it again. Then now I'm like, my heart, I'm like, oh God, I don't want to beat this girl. But what she is doing, if I don't beat her, she won't change. So sometimes, like, I pick a cane and I'm like, Helsa, I'll beat you. I'll beat you. And now she has even realized that I always say I'll beat you without beating her. So she does the thing and then she'll come and stand in front of you. Mommy, I'll beat you. I'll beat you. So that is one of the challenges. I feel that our parents did things that were no good or like didn't really help us. And I'm trying to do something different and I'm like, this thing looks like the old method. If I try it, it will work. But because I have a new conviction now, I don't know. But I still believe that in all of it, God helps us to direct our children. And some way, somehow, I think God also like directs them. Because there are things that I have spoken about. Helsa don't do, she will do. Then one time I realized that she has just stopped. She won't do it again. And I'm like, oh, okay, she's learning. So I shouldn't stress myself like that. And then sometimes too, I feel, oh, let me leave her. If she goes and something happens to her, she will come back to mommy and then she will repent or she will change her mind. But other times too, oh, she doesn't change her mind. The father, he cannot contain some of those things. I remember last week he was home the whole day with us. He was like, is this how Helsa behaves all day? I'm like, oh, today she's in her best mood. You haven't seen anything yet. So sometimes like raising them, no, it's a bit like, it's half and half. Sometimes I feel that, oh, implementing old methods will work. Other times I feel like, oh, let me try something new and then see, because I didn't like it when my mother used to like beat us. So if I'm beating her, it won't change her. And then sometimes too, now with screens and stuff, I realized that she's addicted to like those things. So when you give it to her, she would comport herself for some time. And then when I want to teach her a lesson, I'll just take it from her. So those are some of the things that I'm doing. Honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I believe that with time, I'll just get a hang of it, because I feel that I can't just know everything. And I read. Sometimes I read a lot on like some of the things I should do, some of the things I'm not supposed to do. My husband calls me Google Mama, but I feel that is the only way I can get like more information on how to bring them up. Okay, so with Helsa, when I got pregnant and I stopped the work after 3 months, after the 3 months, I think 4 months into 5 months, I was beginning to feel better. So I decided to do something. So I enrolled in a fashion school. So sending her to school was a little difficult for me. So I decided to also put her in a daycare. So for her, she started school quite early. And what I looked out for was, is the school clean? Can they take care of her like the way I do? So it took a while. It took like a month. I kept going to the school. asking people who have sent their children, like how, and I had also read that when you send children to school early, she was, I think, around 6-7 months. So I was really like concerned, breastfeeding and all that. But the school was okay, and then they were like, oh, every now and then I can come in and breastfeed her, because I was worried about expressing and then infections along the way and all that. Currently, because of coronavirus and everything, I wish she would go to school. But the father too is like, the way this girl is, I don't think she can go to school now. So for now, we are homeschooling her. So in the near future, I think by the time she'll be like 3 or 4, oh, she will be her own boss. So we just look for a school that is close, proximity, close, and then neat. The father is an educationist, so he for that side, I have just left it for him to choose, like, because he works with the schools and he knows which schools are best in terms of teachers, grades, cleanliness, like they know the educational standards for the schools and all that. So like for that aspect, I think I've just left it for him to deal with. Oh no, for now I think 2 is okay. 2 is fine. With all the stress involved, like I think 2 is fine. Initially I wanted twins, then like I'm done. Since I didn't get twins and I have 2, it's okay. Like I grew up in a big family. We were like 7 children. And I have always felt that my parents didn't give me the attention I deserve. They should have given me more attention. But because we are many, you can't go claiming all the attention and everything for yourself. So I don't really want to also have a big family. Like I just want a small cute family too. And initially, you know, Ghana, when you have 2 girls, somebody will come and say, oh, wobema, wobema. Then when you have 2 boys, oh, woba, woba. So when I got pregnant the second time, and I think I didn't want to find out the sex. So I found out the sex later. When I heard it was a boy, oh, now I was excited. I was like, oh, I'm going to give birth to a boy. I'm done. So that is it. Like 2 is fine. I don't, maybe if my husband wants pension baby, fine. But even that one, unless he is willing to go and push. Now I think because I had experience with Helsa, when Oreku does something, I understand what it is. But because Helsa was the first one, like understanding them was very difficult. I used to hear my mother used to say it, oh, when your baby cries, you know what each cry means. That for me, it was difficult identifying what each cry meant the first time. Like, she'll be crying and I'm like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Like, I'm supposed to know that this cry means you want this, but I'm not understanding, like, but with time, I got to like understand, oh, when she's crying and she's screaming plenty, it means she's hungry. When she's uncomfortable, when she's crying and she's not screaming, oh, it means that she wants to sleep or something. So with time, like, yeah, but I realized also that with every baby is different. Oreku now, like sometimes he's shouting and he's not even hungry. You are trying to feed him and he's not like taking the breast or something. So understanding them is one of the challenges. Helsa sometimes she wakes up and she's all grumpy. What do you want? She's not talking. Are you sick? She's not minding you. Like, I wish I understand. I remember one time when she was like 9 months, apparently she was teething and I didn't know that it was teething. She was just having diarrhea. You breastfeed her and then she just brings it out. She was warm and everything. I ran through like 3 or 4 hospitals in Kaswa. So eventually we came to Akawe and they were like, oh, I don't think there's something wrong with the baby. So you go and run some labs and let's see. They did it, nothing. And then the doctor looked at me and said, I think your baby is teething. So you go home after 2 weeks, come back again and let's see. Then after 2 weeks, I saw the small tooth there and I was like, it's because of this small tooth that we've been running up and down, like not knowing what was wrong with you. I was so scared. I thought the baby was going to die. Like you just breastfeed her now, then everything comes out. So understanding them is one of the major challenges for me. And then like managing them and still finding time for myself is also another thing, because I am the type that if I'm doing something, I want to concentrate and do it. So for instance, with sewing, sometimes I'm thinking of, okay, how do I design this thing? How do I cut this thing? And then in the middle, Helsa comes and just cuts your paper. Then I just get frustrated. I'm like, oh God, why is this girl frustrating my life like this? So for me, that is the major challenge. Or sometimes like, you just want like some 5 minutes, 10 minutes for yourself. Like, you are just there. You just want to be there and enjoy some peace, but oh, Helsa won't let you be. She'll just come, mommy, sorry, mama, oh, that, sorry, like. So that is my major challenge now. And how to even like move about with them. You are going somewhere, you are thinking about them, like you can't leave them with anybody. For me, I don't have anyone to leave them with. So like you are thinking, how do I transport them? How do I do this with them in mind? Combining the two is a little bit difficult, but we are managing small like that. Okay, so I think the most rewarding part is, for me, when I go out and my daughter speaks, and then people are like, hey, Nanuatio, hey, she's so cute. Oh, I'm like, I'm just happy. I'm just satisfied. So I remember initially the father would be like, Tremebani tree, men treno brofon kwa. And then I'm like, Nasa mi minti tree, dear mitina me treno. So now that we are doing homeschool and she's picking up the English, one time we went out and somebody asked her, how are you? And then she was just looking at the person's face. Then I was like, oh, Bisane said it is saying. Obeka said, yeah. Then the person asked her, it is saying. Then she said, yeah, now also. Then the person was like, hey, what's you? Initially when she didn't talk, I felt bad. I was like, oh, me bane inti brofo. Beka said me bane inti brofo. But now, when you ask her, it is saying, she will say it. When you ask her, how are you? She will say it. So for me, that alone, it just makes me happy when you send her out and the way she behaves and people are like, oh, she's so cute, she's so this. And with the boy, Helsa was a bit small, so when people carry her, they don't go like, oh, chubby girl. But Oreku is quite plump, he's chubby. So when people say, oh, chubby baby boy, like when those things make me excited, like just that, and I'm like, oh, okay, these are my children. Like, oh, they are my children. Yeah. I think motherhood is like, it's interesting. It's not easy. Like if anybody tells you that motherhood is easy, it's not. I think those who find it easy are those who have help. So before you become a mother, I think you should really consider it. Like, and don't let anybody give you pressure. I think that is one of the things. For me, I felt nobody was giving me pressure. But because I had read and I had friends who had like waited, they said, oh, I'm waiting for a year. Then now 2 years has come, baby is not coming. They started getting agitated and family, hey, now more change them, you know. I didn't want to like wait. But I think if I had waited like for a year or two and then probably enjoyed my marriage, so yeah, I think if you want to be a mother, don't rush it. If it comes, fine. If it doesn't come, relax and enjoy the marriage now like that. And you'll be fine. And even if you are not married, that's another thing. Some people make it look like, oh, if you are married, motherhood is easy. It's not. Whether you are married or you are not married, it's not easy. Because it's not always that you have your partner helping you with the baby and all that. You just have to psych your own self up that I am going to do this for me and the child or me and the children, so that you're able to like, because the moment you start thinking that, oh, with marriage or when I have people, it's easy, you realize that when the baby comes and they are not helping you, you become frustrated. Yeah, so I think it's not easy. Anyone that wants to be a mother, just take your time, consider it, like think through it. Can I do this? Can I do that before? And those our marriage counselors, they should not just tell us the book part of the motherhood. They just give you books to go and read. They should tell us the real deal. Like sometimes you want your husband to carry the baby, and he will also tell you that but you want me to carry baby. He feels that you are home all day and you are really not doing anything. Until maybe he spends a day or two with the children, then he realizes that you are home, cry. It's worse than like you going to work or something. So yeah, those who tell us about motherhood should tell us the truth. I think our mothers too, sometimes, I don't know, maybe they think we'll be scared, so they just tell us the bits and pieces of it. My mother didn't tell me that going to labor ward is so painful and all that. She only told me about the names people mention and insult their husbands and things. But she didn't tell me what makes them insult their husbands or what makes them scream and shout like that. So yeah, anyone that wants to be a mother, just relax. When it comes, it has come, then you go through it. And then with God, one day at a time, you will be fine.